notification pop up saying that so-and-so has logged into your consumer app or agent website, something like that. Because the app and website are interconnected, so they both kind of work the same.
Okay, thanks.
All right, I got my live stream set up, and I will also record this to my computer. And yeah, I'll be kind of running through this, and if anybody had questions, I'll stop and answer them as soon as I can. So we are all set. Again, this is going to be customizing your consumer experience. And let's go. I'm going to share my screen here. And just let me know you can see my screen okay. Going to say that's a yes.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah.
Cool, thanks. So let me just log into my account, and then we can get started. So through Command, you have the ability now to customize some of what your consumer will experience when they're on either your consumer app or your agent website. And I'm going to run through the Kelly guides for each one, because typically when I do this, I like to just go through those guides first, and then I'll go into the app experience so you can see how the app works. And I think for from an agent point of view, it's really good to just have an understanding of how the app works, because it is going to be for your consumer, and you want to be able to answer questions that they have, and the likelihood that they ask you something like, oh, like what does this button do, or how do I create a save search? So I'm going to be running through that as well. Now I'm on Command, and Command made it very simple to get into your consumer settings, which is here. All the way at the bottom it says Consumer. So I just want to click on that. Clear my throat there. So what I like to start in here, and this is just your consumer, I guess you can call it like your dashboard. And there's going to be 3 tabs on the top here: landing pages, agent site pages, and then you have your guide builder. And I think I might have clicked on, no, I didn't click on it. All right. So landing pages, if you're not familiar with them, they're essentially your they're just like your single website pages, and these can be connected with listings. I've used the example for open houses before, so you can actually build out like an open house sign-in sheet, which I think is awesome. Single property pages, and this is really cool because then you can use that for marketing around a new listing. They added additional functionality in the past couple months or so. So they have some video widgets now, testimonial widgets. So these are things you can actually build into your landing pages. Within the agent site pages, this is where you can build out pages that will live on your agent site. And I'm going to show you through the Kelly guide how that works. Once we get the actual website set up, you can always come back here under the consumer tab, and you can build out pages for your website or your standalone page. And just as like a quick heads up, there is some functionality that exists on landing pages that doesn't currently exist on agent sites. For example, I know for sure the video widget doesn't exist on agent sites yet, but I believe that's going to be something coming soon, because I know a lot of agents ask me about that. In particular, they might have an intro video about themselves, or open house videos, or virtual tour videos. So once I have some sort of information on that, I can let everybody know what's going on. So typically where I start with any of my consumer things is I want to go to site and app settings. So under site and app settings, you're going to see here I have a general tab, which is going to allow me to kind of build out my consumer website. So, you know, putting out whatever images I want to have on my hero, Basically on the home page, you can create like a little slideshow. Now under URLs, you can see here I have my URLs set up. So I have my domain name for my agent site, and I also have my app URLs. So if you're ever curious where your URLs are for your app, you can easily find them in here under consumer, agent, site and app settings, sorry. From here, you can also customize the theming of the site. Now, right now, there's only two different themes. It's either the red or dark theme. And I just kept mine under dark because if you upload your own custom logos, like your DBA and team logo, it's going to supersede this one either way. So I don't believe it's going to have any effect whether or not you choose one or the other right now. And then site pages. So as I mentioned before, you can build out your site pages in this applet, and you can customize where they live as well. So basically, if I want to move around like where my reviews live, I can kind of drag and drop them. And on my website, that drop down tab that I have, it'll have this whole list here in whatever order I selected. Once I get towards the end of the class, I'll show you the agent sites. So these are the tabs that currently live in the settings. Now, if I want to access any of the Kelly guides to build out either my guides for the consumer app, or if I want to build out my agent site, I can use these Kelly guides. So there is two Kelly guides currently. There's one for the agent site, and there's also one for consumer settings. And if you've been in the class before, essentially what the Kelly guides help you do, it's almost like a wizard. And the wizard basically walks you through multiple steps. And each one has probably like a handful of steps. I would say 3 or 4, it's not a lot. And the idea is that the guide just kind of helps you put things together. That way you're not kind of like going all over the place when you're trying to do it manually. So if I start with my agent site, and I'm going to say the agent site is very important because the settings that you have and the information that you have on your agent site also reflects in your consumer app as well. So I just want to make sure that everybody knows that when you're putting together your agent site, when you're putting together your marketing profile and your settings, that information also gets sent into your agent site and then reflects onto the consumer app as well. And you might have noticed this button here that says use my information to brand my agent site. You want to make sure that's turned on because that's the information from my marketing profile that will carry over into my agent site and then go into my consumer app. So if I do this, we're going to start with the agent site first. I'm going to hit continue. And from here, you can see it's going to give you this outline page. It's basically going to say, what can I expect from this guide? And it's just going to say you're going to choose your subdomain. We're going to help you with the theming. And then we're also going to help you put together some of the pages that live there. So if I hit get started, and again, if you've already done this, you might have already had it done, but I just want to walk it through for anybody who's in here who hasn't done it. So it gives you this compliance reminder. It's going to ask just to have inclusions of your DBA logos, ownership statements, and compliance with your local board. So I'm going to hit acknowledge and continue. And the first page, and as you can see, it has this nice little kind of progression. It's like a progression chart. So right now I'm on subdomain, and my subdomain's already chosen. Now, if you were using Playster in the past, that subdomain from Playster will just carry over automatically. But let's say I wanted to use a different subdomain, I can always go back and change this. And this can be changed either in the Kelly guide, or you can change it in that URL tab in the site and app settings menu, which I highly prefer. But let's say we're just building this from scratch now. Subdomain is chosen. Now, marketing profile info, this is going to also carry over from my settings, from my marketing profile. And I could go and change this as well. You can see here it has my name, market center, my address for the market center, what my title is. And if I go through here, it's going to allow me to also update my bio, essentially anything that's in the red asterisk is what's necessary. If you don't see a red asterisk there, it means that it's optional. Legal footers. I get the question a lot with these legal footers. These, I believe with some states, they require you to upload additional documentation. So that's why they have these links there. But as far as I know, we don't need to do that. Imagery is just going to be things like my headshot, my market center logo, and team logo. Again, I'm uploading this because I also want it to be part of my consumer app. So again, this information that I upload here is going to reflect in my consumer app as well. Social media links, if you have ones that you want to upload or paste in here, rather, you can do that. And I'll just put these in here as well. Why not? Cool. So app link is already in there. You can see this is auto populated, so you don't have to worry about trying to find that. Awesome. I'm going to hit save and continue, and you're going to notice this green bar pops up. You probably saw it very quickly. Basically said, congratulations, you chose your subdomain and your marketing profile's complete. I mentioned with the theming, it's essentially only this red and black theme. And no matter which one I choose, the logos that I uploaded are just going to supersede this. So it's not going to be any different than if I chose the red one, really. Homepage text. I know some agents like to customize this. This is basically where you'll find your kind of like your headline text here, right above the search bar. So mine is just defaulted to find your dream home. You know, I can say something like, do your NJ home searches here. And that will be something that when somebody goes into my website, they know right away, oh, you know, I can go in and search for homes in New Jersey. One of the huge benefits of using your agent site and consumer app is that they're all connected with the MLS feeds for the whole state, but not only our state, but pretty much all the states around the country. So that's a huge benefit, especially if you're sending this to clients who may be interested in properties and let's say they're going to be relocating to Arizona. They can do home searches in Arizona. And if you're sending them your consumer app or you're redirecting them to your website, they can create a login and they can use that on the website and app. So when they're doing home searches, you get all the updates through your command.
Chris, there's a few questions in the chat. Does the app link get copied to a Facebook business page?
You know what? You could link it there if you'd like. We did a class the other day on Facebook business pages, and there's a button that you can create for the home, basically like your home page of the Facebook page. And that button you can redirect to an app link if you'd like. Otherwise, you can post it in the, there's like an About Me section or a website section.
And then the other one was, Luann asked if she would upload her logo and the team logo, even though she's not on a team.
You can leave the team logo blank. That's an optional feature, but you do need to have a DBA logo. So I would put in your office logo there, so you can use the Valley one.
And then Alyssa said, I have a non-KW website. Do I still need to set this up, or can I have it pull info from my website domain?
So you already have the KW website set up by default. So you're going to have this available for free. As I mentioned, the biggest benefit of using this site versus a third party or independent website is that this is connected with your database. So when you're having your clients log into your consumer app, not only can they search through the app, but they can use your website as well. And the website is all connected with Command. So that's one of the biggest benefits of using that versus a site you had built off of KW. One thing I could also recommend is that you could have a link back to your agent site on your other website. That way, like you can have like a tab for home searches, and that can go directly to this site here. I know a long time ago they were talking about including a search widget for other websites, but I haven't heard anything about that recently, so that's my my recommendation. Was there any other questions in chat?
And then Denise just said that there's no IDX fees with KW websites.
Correct.
And Mary asked, what is your YouTube channel? How would you insert that in a profile?
Mary, you want my personal YouTube?
Yeah, that.
No, your YouTube channel, I can show you real quickly. Every agent has their own Gmail account set up from KW. So if I'm on Google right now, actually, if I go to here, there's a tab called YouTube. And under YouTube, everybody has a channel set up, no matter if you're using it or not. So if I go into my channels here, and it's a little slow, sorry. You see here it says your channel. That first link here is going to be the channel link. And that's how you can find that. And we have 101 subscribers now. Awesome.
Woo.
Reach the home.
Andy said, if someone does a search on your website, do they have to give their information?
Good question. Right now, they don't have any sort of lead capture parameters. So I know like on the older sites, you can set it so it's essentially if they're searching on your website, they need to actually fill out like a form first. These sites don't do that just yet, and I believe I don't have any information about them ever introducing something like that. But if I find out any more information, I can let you know for sure. But right now, it's going to be essentially what they call passive. So anybody can do a search on the site, but they're not required to submit information. However, if they want to create a home search, or if they want to create like a saved collection, they do need to have an account. So just keep that in mind. But again, the good thing about that is as soon as they create an account, you get that lead capture in your database, and you get the notification right away. Awesome, good questions.
Yeah,
so
those were it for now.
Cool. Thanks for those questions. If we hit save and continue, the last step is basically setting up some of my content pages. I usually skip through the company profile one right now because I just don't have like something I want to put in there, but this can be something like maybe like an example of some testimonials. Some agents like to put some of their services in there. Maybe if you're working on a team, you can put a little bit of like what your team does, just some examples. But if I hit skip here, the other page is going to be my about me, which is basically like my bio. And that's going to auto-populate from what I put in my marketing profile, as you can see. But I can also go into content here, and I can also, rewrite this. I can change this as well. So basically here, it's just a short form, my contact information, which it looks like they updated this a little bit. So now you can see that the contact info looks a little bit cleaner. If I hit continue, the last page is going to be my contact page. And this is going to be essentially a lead capture form. And you could customize this a little bit as well. So I can make this like contact me. And for contact page body text, I can change that like to something like fill out the form below for a quick consultation. I'm just using that as an example. But you can see here they can fill out the form with all their general info. Put a message in there, and then they can submit that to me, and I will get a notification again through my Kelly app, and it will be inside of my command database. One other
Rosa asked, on the contact me, can you add a live chat?
Good question. Unfortunately, right now you can't. So they don't have like one of those pop-up bot like chat bots yet. I don't know if they're ever going to do that, but that's a good question. I would highly suggest if you had like a feature request like that, there's a website called ideas.kw.com. Actually, when I go back into my command, I'll show you where you can do it easier. You can submit ideas directly through command. So like an idea like that, you would want to submit for sure. Good question. All right, save and continue, and that's going to be my final step. And you can see here, it's going to say what's next. Your site will automatically be launched on October 1st. We're not going back in time. It's not October 1st anymore. So disregard that. Your site is actually set up. They just forgot to change that. All good though. We can hit this little X box on the top. So again, you saw how simple that was. It was basically not even four steps. It was 3 steps. And that's going to help me set up my agent site. So I just want to just show you real quickly what my agent site looks like now. So once you're finished completing your agent site, you're going to have a site similar to this. You know, it's going to have all the information that I just inputted from that Kelly guide. So you see here how is the bar on the top with the do your NJ home searches here. I have my search box, which is already configured. I don't have to connect any IDX. Another lead capture, and then just some information about myself at the bottom. And you know, privacy policies, all the general stuff there. It's all there. Contact pages. You're going to notice I have some additional pages in here. If anybody's curious how I did that, I can show that in a different class or a one-on-one. Because there's a lot of different customization things you can do in here as well. But for the general setup, it does kind of get you jump started with your about me, contact, and your social links, which is essentially all you really need to get the ground running. And then this home search, like I mentioned, it does work very well. And just to kind of go into it and show you, because the consumer app is going to have a very similar experience. Basically, what they did at KW was they created a solution for consumers, and all the consumer feedback that they gathered led them to a site that looks like this. So if you've ever been on Zillow, which I'm sure you had, the experience is very similar to Zillow actually. However, one thing that the KW sites has that Zillow doesn't, not only is it the hyperlocal neighborhood stats, they introduced a lot of new features over the past few days. And I want to just show one real quickly because I thought it was really awesome. I can search by landmarks. So for example, if I'm somebody who plans on moving or wants to move close to, let's say I want to move closer to Madison Square Garden. Just search this on the map here. So you see here, there's Madison Square Garden. Now what it's going to do, if it loads, is it's going to give me properties around that area, as you can see, right? So this is awesome. And this is a great value add for your clients who plan on moving close to, maybe they want to move close to a park or a museum, or they want to move close to their favorite restaurant. They can do a search for those places in here. And this is going to give them property results back for that specific area. This is something that they just added the other day. And this is something that Zillow is currently not doing. So as a value add, you can let them know like, hey, my website actually lets you search by landmarks now. So you can even do Eiffel Tower if we want. Actually, I don't know if it does worldwide just yet, but.
There's a few questions.
Yeah.
Mary, I'm not exactly sure what your question is. If you want to unmute I unmuted you to ask.
Yeah, I'm not sure what that says either.
Mary, you're unmuted if you want to ask your question.
Mary?
There's a few questions. Yeah. Mary, I'm not exactly sure what your question is. If you want to unmute. Okay, we'll go to the next one.
Yeah.
Luann said, do you have this? Do we have to have
hi.
the same ID for all
There was
of
a
our
page
social
back
media
a couple of.
channels?
Sorry, Mary, what did you say?
Okay, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Wait, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, there was, I guess it was on the agent profile site. I think it was like agent profile, it had a 3 at the web bar up there. There was a part where you wrote some language in there about,
You have to have the same ID for all of the
oh, you know what? I have you on the Facebook thing too, because on my screen. There was a place where you can add language about,
You're talking about like what I had on the search bar?
yeah, it was in the box where you can add language, contact me at this number, but it looks like I have it set up already
Okay,
now that we're
no worries.
forward. And,
Um,
what else I wanna ask you? Oh, on the YouTube channel, can I just ask you that once more?
Sure.
When I clicked on that link on my YouTube channel, it looks like it brought me to my own personal YouTube where I can get into my settings and things. That's not that, right? Like, you get the
No.
link to stick in there. You just find it under the
If
way
you
you
go
said.
under, I'll show you real quick. If I go under YouTube and you go and click on the little, there's like a little profile icon here.
Okay.
And my computer's just really slow, but this little icon here, the first option is your channel. And that's where you can get that link.
Okay.
Cool.
All right, great. Thank you. Sorry to interrupt.
No worries. All right, so I just saw, yeah, there's additional questions in here. Do we all have the same ID for our social channels? Really depends on how you set them up. I always like to have them consistent. So basically my ID would be the same for each platform. For example, my Facebook page might have Chris Gareffa Realtor. Instagram might have the same ID. LinkedIn, well, LinkedIn I think is a little bit different how you can set it up, but I try to keep it as consistent as possible.
Okay, let me find you.
Is there a option to turn on Google Earth? That's a good question. I don't believe right now they don't have an option to do that just yet, and it could be something they add in the future. I know that's going to be really dependent on your computer as well, because Google Earth uses like 3D acceleration and stuff. So we'll see, but that is a good idea. All right, so I just want to kind of get through this. That way I can get into the app because I have a shorter amount of time now. So that's how your agent website works. Now, when I get into the actual consumer app, the consumer app is going to work very similar. So you're going to notice when I share my app screen, it's going to look pretty much the same. However, there is a slight difference with the consumer app versus the website right now, and that's what they call the guides. So under where I have it in my consumer applet here, there's a section called Guide Builder. Now, I would show the Kelly guide for this, but I do find that this is a little easier to manage and a little easier to digest doing it this way. So I'm not going to go through both of them, but I do want to show you the buyer guide. So under buyer guide, I can click it. And what it's going to do, it's going to give me a preview of what the consumer will see when they're looking at the buyer guide within the app. And you can see here right now, I have some steps set up. Start your search, get pre-approved, tour homes, make an offer. And you can see I can go down this whole list here. And the last step obviously will be the closing. So this would be leading them from the search all the way to the closing. And any steps in between, I can either add or rearrange depending on how I do my business. Now you can see here, each one of these has like a nice little image, a description, and a title. If I click on that, what you can also see here is I can edit these. So I can actually customize even the images. I can change the title. And they have something here called workspace text, which is essentially like a more detailed overview of what that step is. So this is a pretty lengthy little paragraph, or if you want to call it an essay, whatever. Now, what I can also do is I can delete steps because they have a little trash can there, or I can add steps. So if I want to add in my own custom steps, you can do that here as well. It's called add a step. And it's very simple. You're going to set up a card title. You will set up a card subtitle, which is basically like a short description. And then you would add a image. And that can be any sort of image that you want. I know some agents ask me about where they can find like stock images. I know Adobe has a really good stock image kind of library. I've also recommended one called FreePic, and that has a lot of stock images that you can download. So if you're looking just for like stock images, those two I would highly recommend. I know with Adobe stock, I believe you need to pay for it. There's like a subscription, but they have so much stuff on there. Okay, so again, with the customization of these, I can literally click into that. I can edit the image, edit the title, subtitle, and then my workspace text here. And then they do have an introduction card that you can also edit. Now, I haven't seen this actually in the app yet, but I believe this is going to be something that would kind of be triggered when you first have a client entered into a specific opportunity. Again, I haven't seen this in the works yet, so I don't believe it's actually activated, but you could customize this now as well. So basically what the Kelly guide would have done was kind of take you through this step. But I like doing it through here because I have a little bit more control over what I can see. I see somebody raised their hand. Javier, what's going on?
Hello, Chris. How are you? I just would like to know, can we have this in different language?
Good question. So you could hypothetically create additional I guess verbiage within the actual steps. Right now you can't have it bilingual, and I've heard this before from other agents requesting that. So I think that's a good idea that would be submitted to KW directly, and hopefully we can get that in there because I know we have a lot of Spanish speaking agents or Korean speaking agents. So to be able to have like bilingual guides would be really cool. But right now they currently don't. The only workaround I can know of is within the workspace text. You would essentially be translating this into whatever language you need to and just putting it underneath.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
Thank you.
Cool.
Nancy asks, can the guides be incorporated into your website?
Right now they don't have the guides in the website yet, but I'm not sure if they're going to be implementing them or not. I think there's going to be.
I did see a video. I'm pretty sure it's just a workaround for the meantime until they put it in there. I can look it up and put it in the chat.
Yeah, that'd be awesome because I'd be curious to see that. The only kind of drawback that I have with any sort of workarounds is there's always something that doesn't work the way it should. So with the guides, at least, I'd be curious to see how they look on the website. I think they might hypothetically release those if the person's already connected with you. I just haven't heard anything about an official update to that yet. What was I going to do? Oh, I just wanted to show real quickly how you can access that ideas. If I click that little question mark button here, if you hit post an idea, this is where you can submit ideas to KW. So things like the question about Google Earth, that would be an awesome idea to just post in here. And when you hit next, you can submit that. Okay, so I have about 5 minutes left. I want to be able to just show you real quickly how the app works. So I'm going to share my app screen, and if you can let me know if you see that, that would be great. Does everybody see my screen?
Yep. I think it's still processing. It's a little, oh, there we go.
Cool.
Yep.
Awesome. And you can see what I'm listening to as well. New Strokes album's really good. Here we go. So these are the apps here, and I just want to kind of real quickly tell you what the difference is between all three, well, all two rather. Because I think some agents are still a little confused with that. Kelly is going to be your mobile version of Command, essentially. So think of it as just a way where you can manage your Command database on your mobile device. The one right next to it is your consumer app. So if I click on it, if you haven't logged in before, or if you have, you're going to see a screen like this as soon as you log in. Now, as far as logging in, the consumer would essentially sign up with their email and name, and then they would be connected with you as an agent. One thing I'm also going to mention is that this is the latest update of the app. So you notice on the bottom here, it might look a little different than yours if you haven't updated. The profile button here is now called More. And then this gives you just an expanded view of the agent, which is pretty awesome. And then you can also see here, they did add Keller Mortgage and Keller Covered links. So these links are connected with my Keller Covered account or Keller Mortgage account. And from the agent, from the consumer point of view, they can fill out this form as well. Okay, so again, if I haven't connected with an agent, I can hit this View Profile button. And you can see here right now, there's a button called Find an Agent or Remove an Agent. So if it wasn't already connected with me, I can use that Find an Agent button to help me do that. But you can see here, the information that we put into my website and marketing profile has reflected inside of the app as well. So my bio, my contact information's here, my address, all that good stuff is in here, and my headshot. So let's go back. So I'm back on my More screen. Again, the features in here are going to be very much the same. They just kind of tweaked where everything's kind of laid out right now. So one other thing I also like to mention in here is the places. Actually, before I go into that, let's go into the actual home search. So when somebody logs into your app for the first time, they're going to be taken to this screen here, which is essentially just a geolocated search based on their location. And it's going to feel very similar to the website as well, as you can see. So it's showing me properties all around where I am. You might notice one with a little heart on it. That is one that I actually created a saved collection for. And this was just one I used as an example when I was doing this. So when the client creates a saved collection, they're going to have another tab here called Saved. And under here, you'll see that they're recent collections. It's just properties that they would have hearted, and they are kind of just organized in here for them to go through. And then if they saved another one, let's say they wanted to save one here, let's just use this one as an example. They can create an additional save search as well. There we go. All right, let's put that away. All right, so, and again, I can also do, I believe that they added in the landmark search in here as well. I know that was something they put into the website first and then I was going to carry over. But I believe it works in the app now as well. I just want to double check. I guess, yeah, for the most part it does, but not like it does on the website right now. But it's going to be, they wanted to create an experience very similar to the website. So it looks like they're still kind of working that out. But it does get me pretty close to that area still. Ooh, it's a little hectic over there. I'm going to get out of there. So the big thing that we were doing within our command was our guides. So the guides, you can see here, there's a button right in the middle. They can't miss it. It's called guide. So the guides that we had set up are all going to live in here for the consumer to view. And you'll notice that there's a little check box next to one as well. That means that they would have completed that step. On the agent point of view, they can mark off those steps within the opportunity for that client. The client can also mark it off as completed as well on their own if they needed to. But the idea is that they would have transparency around the transaction. So that's why you can see that it kind of like guides you through it. All right, we're in the get pre-approved stage now. And it can see like, okay, it's going to bring me to a link for Keller Mortgage. Touring homes, and they can view all the information in touring homes. So it's going to give them that overview that we kind of looked at within command. And this is going to go through all those steps we just created.
And I looked back at the YouTube video and I put it in the chat, and what it allows you to do is put
your like buyer process from your buyer presentation onto your website. So it's
Oh,
not going to
okay.
be exactly the guide, but it'll still give them some information.
Got it. Cool.
And then I know Andy has their hand raised, and there's a few questions in chat as well.
Okay. So yeah, I'll take the next 5 minutes to answer some questions, and then I do have to hop off, unfortunately. But yeah, let's see what's some questions we have in here.
So my question is, this guide, the buyer guide and the seller guide, is that the same buyer guide and seller guide from our website, from the agent site? Or is it different? Or if we edit the one on our agent site, does that transfer over to here?
So right now the guides are only available within the consumer app. So if you're editing them in Command, they will reflect back into the app as well.
Okay, that was my question.
Yeah.
And there was another question I can't remember.
All good.
Okay.
Okay, I did see some other questions in chat.
Oh, I do have another one.
Yeah, let me get through these first.
Okay.
Will there be a notification to the consumer's phone when a new listing arrives in their search criteria? Yes, they're supposed to get an email notification for that. I've had some issues with that, so I want to just kind of double check and play around with it a little bit more. But I believe anytime they have a new property that comes within their search criteria, it's supposed to email them the property information. Again, I just have to double check that because I was having some problems with it. Mary said, regarding my profile, I updated it in Command several days ago, but it's not updated in the app. How can I update this? Mary, this was something I noticed with another agent as well. And what I suggested, or what I had actually found was a solution, was I had to make sure my Kelly guide was properly set up for the website as well. So in the beginning of this video, I went over the Kelly guide for the website. Just make sure you go through that again. And then that
Okay.
should reflect back into your consumer app. Also make sure that that button says use my information to brand my agent site is checked on.
In the Kelly guide section?
Correct.
Okay, I'll go in there.
Try that out. The question about guides on your website right now, they don't have an official way to do that yet. Reese posted a link to a YouTube video showing a workaround for the buyer and seller presentations. So that's one way you can kind of do that, I suppose.
Okay.
When we send our app, we tell them to sign up and then they pick us as their agent. When you're sending them your consumer app, it's going to be connected with you as an agent once they actually log in. So yeah, basically once they sign in, they would already be connected with you. Are there any visuals of the app that we can use in our marketing? For example, a listing presentation? That's a great question. And you know what? There is. Within designs, I did a class on this. I think it was last week, and I showed off a template for that. They're actually built into the listing and buyer presentations now. I can link you to that video if you'd like. And it looks like my app cut out. So any additional questions before I hop off?
I would like to know if there is, do we get an indication on our app on the phone if our buyers or sellers are using it? Is there?
Yes,
we
you
know.
do.
Okay.
You'll get a notification through Kelly letting you know when they logged in, and you'll also get an update inside of the command whenever they're looking at properties.
Okay.
Super useful. All right, guys, I have to hop off, unfortunately, a little bit early, but I want to thank everybody again for coming out, Reese for helping out. And if anybody had questions, you can always just find me directly. I'm always around.
Thanks, Chris.
Much.
All right, have a good day. And I also recorded this so I can post it.
Thank you.
Perfect, thank you.
Thanks
Bye,
a lot.
everyone.
Bye.
Bye.